Hello and welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us today on this Lunch and Learn webinar series episode. Today we'll be covering revision management in ARCHICAD. I hope that this will be of use for everyone today. Before we dive into revision management today, let's have a little recap for those who haven't used ARCHICAD before or don't really know what ARCHICAD is all about. What the basic and main idea is behind ARCHICAD. So ARCHICAD operates on the virtual building concept. Everything in your design goes into a central database, into a model, which stores all information about the project, geometry and non-geometrical data as well, like dates and manufacturer data, fire ratings, all these sorts of things. Then, using this central database, coordinated drawings and documentation are quickly produced from this one central database, so we can very quickly access all this information in the required format without having to manually do the reformatting of the information. So if we want to see all the doors on the floor plan, for example, we can do that with a few clicks, or if we want a door schedule assembled in a spreadsheet format, that is basically the equivalent amount of clicks to assemble either or both of these solutions for us. So, because ARCHICAD operates on this virtual building concept, it knows which elements are displayed on which layouts. So for those of you who haven't used ARCHICAD yet, we call layouts are little virtual pieces of paper which will then be printed if required. And we can place drawings or schedules from this model onto these layouts as we please. And because all these drawings come from the model, ARCHICAD knows which elements are being displayed on which layouts. And therefore, we can use this information to automatically manage revisions. Because if we assign a change to an element, ARCHICAD will then know which layouts are displaying that element, and therefore it can flag up the appropriate pieces of paper as containing a change. So what sort of workflow is required for this? So the first thing we need to do is, once we finish modeling, we'll need to create the first issue. When we open the first issue, all of the layouts will be included in this issue for us. So no matter how many pieces of paper we have, if you like, all of these will be part of the first issue. And once the first issue has been created, we can review the contents of the issue, include or exclude layouts from it as we like, and then we can close the issue, finalizing it. Once an issue is closed, its contents are ready to be published. So we can use publisher sets, which will be represented by the oval shapes on this flowchart. So we can use publisher sets to filter which layouts go out to which members of the construction team. So even though all the layouts are included in the first issue, we can then use the appropriate publisher sets to create drawing packages, which will then be issued to the appropriate people without having to worry about filtering that at a later stage, or having to deal with the packages once the revisions are created, because the revisions will automatically know which layouts are included in which publisher sets. So once we're ready to publish, all we need to do is go ahead and publish the project. At this point, the drawings can go out, and then change requests can come back in. So once we have a request for a change, we'll need to start managing that. So the first thing we do is actually create the changes. There are no special methods for doing this. All we do is model, just like we modeled up until now, but then we can mark up the changes, so the edits to the model that we actually would like to mark as changes on our drawings. We can cloud them on the floor plans and sections if we wish to, and we assign the elements to these changes, which is very important because automatic revision control only works if there are elements assigned to changes, because that is the only way ARCHICAD knows that the elements are actually on the layout, therefore the layout contains a change. Once all of our changes have been made, we'll need to update all our drawings. This is an automatic process, which we just need to start and then let it run through. It doesn't take particularly long. During this process, ARCHICAD marks each layout that contains a new revision. So any layout that has been issued previously and contains a change that is different from the previous set of changes will be marked as a new revision, and the new revision ID will be assigned to it. Once this process is complete, which is an automatic process, all we need to do is open the new issue, so open the next issue of the drawings. When we open the next issue, ARCHICAD will automatically include all of the layouts that are in this, that contain a change, so that where the revision ID changed from the previous issue. So all of these layouts are automatically included in the next issue. At this point, we can review the issue, so we can include layouts which don't technically contain a change but we would like to issue again, or we can exclude layouts which ARCHICAD included automatically. Once we have reviewed the new issue to be created, we can close that issue, or we can actually keep working on the project as well. But if we do, we will then need to manually add the changed layouts. But once the issue is closed, we can publish again. But this time, only the revised layouts are included in the issue. So ARCHICAD will know that if we have 3 floor plans and 2 sections in a publisher set, which is a collection of layouts, all we need to do is if the ground floor changed, then only the ground floor layout will be issued the next time around. We can, of course, say that we'd like to issue the entire set again at any point. So once we've issued the drawings, we are technically finished with the process. And then if further changes are required, then all we need to do is repeat the process. So when the new changes have been modeled, we just go through this entire process again. So I've got ARCHICAD running in the background here. So let's get started with the process here straight away. So this project has already been issued once, but it does not contain any changes just yet. So the top half of that diagram that you've just seen has been completed, and now we have requests for changes come back to us. So we need to make these changes first, and then we'll need to issue this project again for everyone in the team. So the first change that was requested by the client is to not size the home office and the living room here equally. So we need to move this wall a bit further up on my screen here to decrease the size of the home office. So all I do is select the wall and then use my usual editing tools to resize the wall. That looks about right. Because dimensions are automatically assigned to the elements, these update by themselves, so I don't need to worry about the annotation needing to be changed. And another request that we have received from our client was to change the door that leads to the kitchen. They would instead like to have a pocket door here, which slides into the walls. So what I do here is apply our pocket door favorite, and again, because all these elements are linked to the dimensioning, the dimensions update automatically, so I don't actually need to do any particular work on those. Because one of our room sizes has changed, we'll need to update our zones, which is how we mark up space in ARCHICAD. So what I do is go to Design and Update Zones, and I can tell ARCHICAD to update all zones. So this way, we now know what size the home office is and what size the living room is automatically. Again, because the zone boundaries were associated to the walls, they can update themselves automatically without issue. So now that we are done modeling the changes, it's time to actually mark them up as being actual changes in the project. Because sometimes more than one editing command is required to achieve a change, ARCHICAD doesn't automatically determine what a change is, especially because sometimes modeling changes don't directly relate to actual changes as in the contractual sense of the word. So instead, we expect the user to mark up changes. There are two ways of doing this. You can either first create the change and then cloud this change on the drawing, or you can cloud the change first, which will then in turn automatically create the change. So I'll do this, I'll show you both of these methods now. To create changes, I'll be using the change manager, which comes from this little bubble here. The change manager tool is basically your revision central. This is what will contain all the changes you've made to the project, and all your issue history and revision history will also be accessible in this panel here. You can archive changes if those are considered to have already been completed and you no longer want to see them in this long list here. You can archive them, but you cannot delete changes that have already been issued. So the first method of creating a change is to select the element that is to contain a change, and then simply click the Create New Change button here to add the first change. ARCHICAD will automatically issue a new change ID to every change, which will increment themselves numerically, and then I can simply assign the change here. And this is the home office wall moved change. So I can click OK now, and this has created the change up here, and you can also see that the wall that was in my current selection has been assigned to this change. So ARCHICAD knows that there is a change associated to that wall. Now I'd also like to create the revision cloud around this wall here. To do that, I can use the change tool. Using the change tool, if I go into the change tool settings, all I need to do is tell ARCHICAD that I would like to place a linked marker. At this point, I can choose any one of the changes I currently have active in my project. And then all I need to do is draw a revision cloud where I'd like this to be, and then simply click in the marker, which will show which change this is. The other way of going around creating a change is by creating the revision cloud first, which will automatically create the change for me, but then I will need to manually add the elements to it. To do this, I can go back to my revision, so my change tool settings, but this time choose the Create New Change option for the marker type. ARCHICAD has automatically assigned a new ID, so all I need to do is type up the change, which is the kitchen door resized. So all I need to do now is click OK. This has created the change for me. So when I now draw this change here and then assign the marker, you can see that in my change manager, ARCHICAD has automatically created this change. However, no elements are included against this change. So all I need to do is select the door in the project here, and then click this Add Elements button to this list to add the element to this change. So ARCHICAD now knows that this door belongs to that change. The revision cloud itself automatically becomes part of the change that it refers to. However, this would not make the change show up on my section, because if you note, there are two different kinds of drawings here. The home office wall is only visible on my ground floor plan, so only my ground floor plan should show up as having contained a change. However, this door also shows up in my building section here. So if I open up my building section, you can see that that door is visible here because it is part of that section. It simply cuts through it. So having marked up the door as containing a change, my layout that shows this section will also contain the change. So all I need to do now is that with the changes created, I need to update all my drawings. To do this, I'm going to use the drawing manager, which comes from my project chooser here. As you can see, ARCHICAD automatically flags up all the drawings as saying that they may contain a change at this point. So all I need to do is select them all here, and then I can tell ARCHICAD to update these drawings for me. As you can see, this is a completely automated process which has already been finished. And then I can go to my change manager, and under issue history, I can open a new issue. Because during the drawing update process, ARCHICAD has flagged all of the layouts that contain a change as containing a new revision. When I click the new issue button, I can now create a new issue. This will be issue B, wall and door changed. At this point, I could override all of the revision IDs in the included layouts. So if I wanted to skip a revision, for example, in a particular drawing, I can do that simply by ticking this checkbox here. Or if I wanted to start afresh, if you like, when I'm handing over or shifting over into a different phase of the project, I can also reset the counters there. Then all I need to do is click OK, and as you can see, ARCHICAD has automatically included the ground floor and the building section layouts in this. During the design changes, a lot more layouts were included because all of those contained changes. But now, only these layouts contain changes, so these are the ones included in the issue. At this point, if I click OK here and transition over into my publisher set here, you'll see that ARCHICAD has color-coded all the layouts in my publisher set here. This is how ARCHICAD tells me that the ground floor and the building section are in my current issue, but have not actually been issued yet. Also, because all of this comes from a central database, I can visualize this information automatically on layouts. So for example, on the ground floor layout, which contains the drawings of the ground floor, ARCHICAD automatically highlights which revision it's currently in, and because I haven't yet closed the issue, ARCHICAD highlights that this is currently work in progress. This little spreadsheet here populates itself automatically. This is just an object you can place on your master layout, which then now contains which revision this layout is part of and what changes are included in that revision. This exact same information can also be visualized in schedules, so I can automatically collate transmittal information or issue sheets describing which layouts are contained in a particular issue. So once I'm happy with all of the layouts, as you can see, because the section only contains the kitchen door change, that's the only one listed here. When I'm happy to issue my drawings again, all I need to do is go back to my change manager, go to issue history, and then close the issue. At this point, the issue is finalized. So today's date is stamped onto the drawings. So if I click OK now, and then go back to the layout, you'll see that today's date has now been stamped against this change and the revision, and the work in progress marker has been removed from the layouts. So these are now ready to be published. To publish these layouts, all I need to do is click the publish button here. Using this control, I can tell ARCHICAD what to issue. So I can say that I'd like to issue the entire set again if that's what's required, or I can say that I only want to issue layouts in the current issue. So if I press the publish button, ARCHICAD will run to the publishing process, and these have now been saved as PDFs to my hard drive, so they are ready to be sent out for members of the design or construction team. ARCHICAD automatically collates project indexes for me. So for example, if I'd like to see an issue history or an issue list, I can simply open up that project index here, and this will list every single issue that has been created throughout the project history with the issue dates, so when these have been created, revision information, and I can also include what changes have been made in those issues. I can very easily have a change list, which will contain all the changes I've ever made in this project to make my life a bit easier. And then, of course, these can also go onto layouts to be printed along with the rest of the issue. So that just about covers region management. From here onwards, any further changes, this exact same process again. So you model the changes, you mark them up as changes, update your drawings, and then issue the new set of drawings as and when that is required. So thanks for attending today. Just to let you know, we do have another one of these webinars running on April 21st, which is the Friday 2 weeks from today. Scott will be running a webinar on the level of definition, where he will be talking about just exactly what detail we need to go into when modeling at particular stages, which is a quite hot topic at the moment. That is a lot more related towards BIM and how the information should be managed and at what stages what information should be required. So thanks for attending today. If you have any questions, I'll keep the comments open. So if you'd like to post them now. Otherwise, thanks for attending today and have a great day.